This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What, am I an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Hello and welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Sunday, August 1st. This is episode 344. My name is Dan Ellis, and I'm joined via remote connection by two awesome Mr. co-hosts, Mr. Ryan Duffy.
You can call me Sexy Stash.
And Mr. Taylor Grin.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Busy in all kinds of stuff. What is new in your guys' world? Mr. Duffy, let's start with you.
I'm just making as many wood shavings as possible right now.
Oh, yeah?
I had a guy that I know through a friend. I've never actually met him in real life, but he reached out to me and said, "Hey, are you still building humidors?" And I'm like, yeah. He goes, "Well, I need one by the 15th for a birthday." And we want it all customized and stuff. So yeah, I'm getting on that, which luckily
quite a bit of money at, right? For a
yeah.
job? Nice.
Well, the guy's rich as fuck to begin with. The guy that he wants me to build this for races Corvettes for fun.
Nice. Hell yeah.
So on the inside lid, when you open it, I'm going to put the blueprints for that to the Corvette on the inside of it.
Oh, nice. With your new laser.
Oh, yeah.
Deal.
That's going to make it so much quicker than doing it by hand.
Woohoo. Nice. Yeah, I've seen some of the things that you're making. I saw the one thing that you're making for a relative based on a photo of another relative.
Yes.
I'm trying not to give too much away in case
my grandpa doesn't listen to the podcast, so you don't gotta worry about that. But yeah, that should as of the day we're recording this, that should be arriving to him tomorrow. So I already sent that in the mail and made a nice little walnut frame to attach to it and stuff. And so yeah, it was a photograph that my grandfather had taken of my grandmother who passed away in March, probably 50 years ago.
You'll notice that I didn't play the sound this time.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I think he'll appreciate that. Yeah, as long as his eyesight is good enough to realize what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was a very, very sweet gift. I think he's going to love it.
No. Other than that, I had to go back to work. That sucks.
Not very good. Well, how about you, Mr. Grin? What's new with you?
So many things. This has been a hell of a week. So, I can't remember if I said in the last podcast or not, but I got a prospective job offer a couple weeks back that was contingent on passing the Security Plus examination, which is...
But you passed?
Yeah. So I passed. So it's a hard-ish examination. Like, it's easy if you've been in industry for like multiple years, but I have not. So it basically entailed a shit ton of studying. And basically all of last week, well, all of the week before last, Sandra basically played like housewife to enable me to be studying like 12 hours a day on that. And I passed the examination on Monday. And I have been waiting for more than a month and a half for my, there's a comic series called Invincible. They've got a show on Amazon that's fantastic. It's got J.K. Simmons in it and Mark Hamill. And anyway, so I had been waiting for those comics to show up. And like literally as we were driving home from the exam that I had passed, the bookstore finally calls and is like, "Hey, your comics finally showed up." So I was like, all right, this is a pretty good day. But about an hour before I took the examination, Sandra got back from the vet. And the kitten that we adopted has FIV, which is basically HIV, but for cats. And so we spent a while trying to figure out whether or not we wanted to keep this kitten. It's apparently not particularly infectious. Well, like it's very infectious if you get an exposure, but the odds of exposure are pretty low for another cat in the household.
Yeah, didn't they say, I thought I saw Sandra post out that in order for it to actually get infected, they had to like bite. like
like
skin,
a deep bite or cut wound would have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like they definitely play fight. Like the cat and the kitten definitely play fight, but I haven't seen either of them bite like really fucking hard, like trying to hurt the other animal hard. But it would have to be the kitten biting the cat hard enough to infect him. But I was like, well, we already have our cat, right? Like what is the ethics involved of adopting a kitten who could potentially get the cat that we already have sick, you know, versus giving the cat back kind of thing. But like the kitten's demeanor is already really good. Like he's a very nice cat. He's incredibly well litter trained. He doesn't scratch shit. So for us, it's like, we're not going to find a better kitten than this. And like, it's looking like the rest of his litter is probably not going to end up finding homes. So if we were to give him back, we'd probably just be condemning him to being put down. So we've elected to keep the kitten. And we just have to keep a very close eye on them and make sure to like basically train them not to fight too hard. You know, we've got to split up fights, you know, before they get too rough and do the best that we can to try and like make that a thing with them so that they don't hurt each other.
So sparring only.
Yeah.
No Mortal Kombat.
Yep. And I'm just worried because sometimes the older cat will like pin the kitten down, which is like a cat behavior, right? Like the older one will pin the kitten down and be like, this is too much, or like, so our cats aren't allowed on like tabletops or desks or anything like that. And if the kitten gets up on a table or a desk because it's a fucking kitten and it like hasn't learned yet and is super curious, Avocado, the older cat, will like growl. Like he is not happy, and he'll walk over and like grab the kitten by the nape of its neck and yank it off of the surface that he's not supposed to be on. It's like he's enforcing the rules. And it's kind of wild to watch. But then like the problem is that he'll just sit there like biting the back of the cat's neck and sitting on top of him as if to say like, you're in fucking timeout right now. And it just makes us nervous.
Nervous that the kitten may get, you know, may grow to the point where it's like, hey, you're not going to hold me down anymore, man.
That's what I'm concerned about. Yeah. Is that if he gets to the point where he tries to pin down the kitten when he's a cat and he bites back or something, right? Yeah. So that's why we split up those events, because we don't want the older cat getting in the habit of trying to like go too far with the little cat, because we don't want the little cat to ever feel like it has to get him back.
You're not kitten
like,
police,
I'm in charge
Mr. Avocado.
Yeah. So there's all of that. But I did get the job, which is super cool. It's pretty well paying. It's going to get me into a career field that I've wanted to get into for a long time. Thanks to Ted Sellon, like one of our Patreon supporters was the one who basically hooked me up with the interview for this thing and
That's
recommendation
awesome.
And that kind of thing. So huge thanks to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Gosh. And then, so I was going to the fucking grocery store yesterday. I get out of my car and like I had noticed eating earlier in the day that like I felt a weird kind of pressure. In one of my teeth.
Like you got to poop? Oh,
no. Like just one of my teeth was like I felt just a little bit more pressure on it than I felt like I should. And I got out on my car and I started walking to the grocery store and just like all at once, one of my fucking fillings just crumbled. Like not popped out, just disintegrated. And like, so I felt like almost like a dirt feeling in my mouth, you know, like if I had like some little pieces of sand in my mouth and I was like, what the fuck? And I started tonguing around my teeth and there's just a hole in one of my teeth. Oh no. So I had to buy like dentist picks and stuff. And I went into the grocery store bathroom and just started looking around with like a dentist mirror to see what was going on. And sure enough, just a massive fucking cavity in that tooth because like whatever filling had been put in, just gone. Like just fucking bro.
It just
I'm out.
Noped out. Damn.
Yeah.
Was it one you got in the military? Because I had that issue.
No, it was one that I got at a local dentist. So I immediately got on the phone with that dentist's office. And of course they're closed because it's a fucking Saturday. And I'm like, hey, like this isn't an emergency. Like I'm not in severe pain, but like I'm gonna be
this fixed.
Yeah. Like
really quick.
I got this filling from you guys. Now I just have a gaping hole in one of my teeth. I need this not to be like ASAP. So I'm going to be double tapping tomorrow morning first thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like right now, it's not particularly painful unless I expose it to high heat or cold, but that shit's going to change fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not happy about that. That's been my week.
I had a feeling that popped out, about 3-4 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
And I went and took care of it real quick. They're like, yeah, there's no like decay or anything. It's just a filling. Just popped loose. So they didn't have to do any extra drilling or there's no cavity. So they just,
well, and I hated that filling from when I got it. Like as soon as he put it in, I started gumming around my mouth and like, it's basically on the, like if I were to say inside edge, you would think like the side that faces my tongue, but it's like the edge of my tooth that faces the other tooth in front of it. Okay. And there's like basically, there was like a ledge there, like there was too much filling material. Mm-hmm. So every time I tried to floss, when I was coming down with the floss, I would have to like go around that shit because it would like hit it.
Catch.
And that's the word. Like there was a little ledge. And so I'm sure that what happened is after, 3-4 years worth of flossing every day like I'm supposed to, it just beat the shit out of that thing. And so I'm hoping that the dentist will recognize that his work was inadequate and that it won't cost an arm and a leg to get this done right away. But we'll see how that goes.
Like the way you're talking, I can tell it's on the left side of your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Like, what am I doing? How can you tell?
Like that side, you're holding your lip up higher. And I can see you moving your tongue.
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to guard it with your tongue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like you're protecting that area.
I'm sensitive to changes in my mouth. So I'm like kind of always feeling around in there. You know how like, this is going to be fun. Hey, podcast listener, your tongue never actually like rests on the bottom of your mouth. It's always just kind of floating there. And now you're aware of that. And so you're going to be thinking about how like your tongue is just sitting there suspended and it never actually rests.
Your tongue is in 0G.
It never relaxes. Never.
Well, now I'm trying to force it down.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. No, I've just got a lot going on in there. My dad never got me braces. My dad's a dental technician, or at least he was by trade. And like, I always wanted braces because I have this really jutting lower tooth. And he was like, nah, because your like teeth will readjust when you become an adult. And if you get braces, it might just reverse itself. And so now I've got like this lower tooth that just sits out like in front of all of the other teeth in my mouth. So I'm always like constantly wondering like just feeling around, wondering what's going on in there. So I'm tonguing the shit out of that cavity right now. I hate it.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like this. That sounds like nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Like how many different movies have we seen where somebody has something go on in their mouth and they approach the mirror and they're poking and prodding, trying to get a better look, and then like all of their teeth start falling out. How many of us have had nightmares of that thing exactly happening? Like,
The one scene in the movie I cannot watch is Castaway when Tom Hanks takes the fucking ice skate.
Oh yeah,
bashes it. It's like I have to look away. I can't watch that scene.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those completely relatable pains.
Yeah. So.
Well,
that's my mouth, everyone, so that you're aware.
Well, that all sounds fun. Well, congratulations on passing the test, on landing the job. Those are both very exciting news points, man. That's awesome.
No, I'm stoked. It's going to be, it may fuck with some of our, like, we may have now 2 vectors to change with our record times, going forward, because I know that we're going to be doing like a rotating, like days, swings, nights kind of schedule. So I'll let you guys know what that's about when it happens. But yeah.
Well, cool, man.
What's up with you, Dan?
Just super busy with work. There's a lot going on there. We're hiring a lot. We're trying to ramp up to hire a lot. And so we're also updating a lot of documentation, and it's, we're closing in on coming to the end of the fiscal year and trying to get budgets straight for current fiscal year, setting up for the next fiscal year.
Hey, whatever happened with like pseudo replacement Dan, like assistant Dan? But they were like kind of already eager to jump to their next position. What happened to that person?
That person is still in that position, and it's going. I don't know that it's going well. I'm like, I've been trying to be fairly hands off and let them, kind of feel their way through things and be there if they have questions or anything. They're not very communicative about some of the challenges they're having, and our branch chief is not having it. So there's been some tension there, and I'm like, I'm trying to nudge our branch chief into being, a little more forgiving and delicate, and trying to, send the other person some signals that, hey, this is okay. You're still new at this. There's still some adjustment. And because while they're not doing a fantastic job yet, they're still learning and adjusting. And I don't want to have to assume all of those responsibilities again, because I've already got too much on my plate. So yeah, it's kind of like just walking around with a, I don't know, like a boot on your, like a cast boot, it sucks, but I can manage for now. And, eventually, hopefully it will get better. Yeah. Yeah. Just a little gimpy.
Mm-hmm. I have a thing, so I want to make sure I do this on air. Dan, I'm sorry for your editing problems the last couple of months. Audience, if you have noticed bad audio coming from me the last couple of months, I'm going to own up to this. So I left my mic in like a bipolar orientation for about 2 months, which made me pick up a whole shit ton of audio and radically increase Dan's workload. And I'm a dumbass. So I'm sorry to everyone for the audio quality the last couple of months. Dan's Herculean efforts made it harder to tell, but now I've got a checklist, and I check my mic to make sure it's in cardioid every time before the show. And I'm so sorry, everybody. It's my fault.
You are not at all a dumbass. You didn't know. It's not. Yeah, it's one of those. It happens, man. It was. Oh, God.
What happened was, we had Sandra on, like, just in a C block, like, kind of unexpectedly back in May when we were talking about your grandma. And I switched into the bipolar orientation so we could both talk into the mic, and I never switched it back, and I never thought to look. And so it just stayed that way, oriented 2 ways rather than one. So it was picking up everything behind me as well as in front of me. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
Not bad.
Like I say, no worries, man. It was just one of those things, like, well, and there were some changes to your environment too, like you moved, and so I didn't know if it was something there. It just, and like I should have been more communicative and just like stopped when I noticed that there was a problem and said, hey man, we need to try to figure this out, because then it would have made my life much less difficult in editing if I had done that. So this is on me as much as it is you, if not more, because I noticed it and just didn't say much about it. So
lesson learned. But yeah, I apologize to you guys, the audience. Like, I'm sorry about that. Especially the car drivers who have nothing else to keep themselves busy while they're listening to our show. Like that sucks. So thanks for putting up with me.
Hopefully the road noise just hit it.
Yes.
Yeah,
hopefully.
It was buried. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break, and on the other side, we'll come back with some newsy stuffs.
Hey guys, this is Brandy Hamrick. I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. Contrary to popular belief, we don't all fuck our cousins, and we didn't all vote for Trump. And you're listening to the Godless Rebelution.
If you're going to be a serious grown-up person and appear to defend the Catholic Church in public in front of an educated and literate audience, you simply have to start by making a great number of heartfelt apologies and requests for contrition and forgiveness.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
All right, so we've been talking about the white nationalist stuff quite a bit, and I think everyone is at least aware of the January 6th commission that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So people may or may not have heard this, but I thought this was pretty pertinent. And this comes from Officer Daniel Hodges, who I'm not 100% sure if he was the one we saw in the video being squeezed in the fucking door.
Yeah, I think that was him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one where the Trump supporters, the rioters, the insurrectionists are like trying to rip off his mask, and they're beating him over the head, and he's screaming because he's being crushed. Yeah.
Yeah. So on January 16th on NBC 10, it's a Philadelphia television station, he made a comment where he said, "It was absolutely my pleasure to crush a white nationalist insurrection."
Nice.
So, of course, they have to ask him about that.
Mm-hmm.
So during the hearings, his response was, "The crowd was overwhelmingly white males, usually a little bit older, middle-aged older, but some younger. They didn't say anything especially xenophobic to me, but they did to my black colleagues and to anyone who was not white. And some of them would try to recruit me. One of them came up to me and said, 'Are you my brother?' There are many known organizations with ties to white supremacy who had a presence there. 3%ers, Oath Keepers, that kind of thing. And people who associated with Donald Trump. I find it more likely that they subscribe to that belief system."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking white nationalists.
Working to destroy everything one person at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was under oath. So that's in the Library of Congress now as something said against Donald Trump.
Did you see the disgusting framing that the Republican Party is trying to use now, particularly House Republicans under Kevin McCarthy, Elise Stefanik, and
they're
Steve
claiming
Scalise?
it was Pelosi's fault?
Yeah. They're blaming the victims here. Fucking, Elise Stefanik getting up there and saying that she wants to get to the bottom of why Nancy Pelosi, wasn't prepared for this, that she allowed this to happen because she wasn't prepared. You're blaming the fucking victims here, man. I can't believe how fucking disgusting this all is. The whole idea of her getting up there and blaming Nancy Pelosi for being attacked, for having her office ransacked, for having that stupid fucker sit in her chair, kick his feet up, and lay the flag down on the desk next to it, or on the little stand next to her desk, and call her a bitch. That's all Nancy Pelosi's fault, according to Elise Stefanik.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a Republican to me. I saw the funniest damn tweet from a Republican this week, or not from a Republican, but at a Republican. This guy called into McCarthy's office, and he said, "Hey, I've got a high blood pressure issue, and I was wondering if I could talk with Minority Leader McCarthy about what medicine would be most appropriate for me to treat my high blood pressure." And the congressional aide said, "Well, McCarthy is not a medical professional. You're going to need to talk to your doctor about that." And the guy said, "Oh, okay, so why the fuck is he talking about the vaccine then?"
Why the fuck is he talking about the vaccine? Run. And why the fuck is he complaining about wearing masks now?
Yeah. Again. Fucking Florida, man. I've always described Florida as like having a population with 1 foot in the grave and one on a banana peel. Like it's God's waiting room, man. It's just where people go to die.
Mm-hmm.
And DeSantis apparently wants that to happen faster now.
That guy, like I can't tell like if he's deliberately trying to kill his supporters. Like it doesn't make any fucking sense to me at all.
Well, and this is after like Sean Hannity has started telling people to take the vaccine. Like I'm sure that internal polling for the Republicans are like, hey, for all the in-group solidarity we're building, we're literally losing voters, like they're dying. And so I wonder like what DeSantis thinks he's doing. But on the other hand, you posted this great article, which I think you're bringing up right now, that talks about like the sociological, oh gosh, what's the term? It's like in-group proof or something like that, or social proof or some phenomenon where like they only care about proving themselves to their network of people, and their network of people has decided that, the vaccine is bad and that masking is bad, even if they fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Atlantic published an article. When was that? Today.
Recently. Yeah. The anti-vaccine con job is becoming untenable is the name of the article.
Yeah.
And it was a good read.
Yeah, it really was. I thought it had a great take on why we've seen this abrupt shift among the lunatic fringe right, which is basically all of the right these days, saying that all of a sudden now, going on Fox News and having their talking heads all say that people need to get the vaccination. That Ron DeSantis is saying that now, even that, this stupid fucker, the governor of South Carolina this morning that I watched on Fox News, saying that, yeah, people should get the vaccination. But during his interview, I complained to you guys during the little break between segments here that I watched part of that or was listening to it while I was feeding the dogs this morning. And he made some comment about how everybody should go and get the vaccine, we should listen to the experts, blah, blah, blah. And then he went on to complain about the experts from the CDC saying that people should wear masks. Like, yeah, you fucking shithead, you stupid motherfucker. On one hand, you're saying we need to trust the experts, and then you're telling people to not trust the fucking experts. Oh my God. But he did this with this folksy charm and South Carolinian accent that was just too perfect.
So we kind of talked about this pre-show. For the listeners, there are several words that ironically have colloquial meanings that are not their actual meaning. One of those words is ambivalent. I'm sure that the vast majority of you listening use the word ambivalent to say, I'm not really sure which of these two options I like. But the real definition of ambivalent is that you have strong feelings in both directions on an issue, making it difficult for you to make a decision. And in that sense, I am ambivalent about the most recent mask, words are hard, mandate or not mandate, but suggestion from the CDC, right? Yeah. Which calls for vaccinated people to wear masks as well as the unvaccinated. And like 1% of the breakthrough cases recorded have been for vaccinated people. But what that really translates to is that if you are vaccinated, you have a 0.001 chance of getting the Delta variant. And that if you get the Delta variant, you have a 0.0004 chance of being hospitalized because of your symptoms.
Vanishingly small, yeah.
Yeah, that's an acceptable risk. Like, I get into my car and take a greater risk of dying in an accident every day, right? But here's the thing, right? Here's where I get into that ambivalence. I have this close friend that I've talked about on the show, who has had now 6 chemotherapy procedures, right? He has no immune system. He has been vaccinated. His whole family has been vaccinated. He could be killed by a flu, right? And there are people like that out in the world who would love to get a vaccine or who can't get a vaccine or who have had the vaccine but have no immune systems because of whatever their medical situation may be. And I don't want them to be collateral damage as a result of this Delta variant spreading, which is significantly more virulent than the primary version of COVID, which, to be fair, the Delta variant is basically the primary version of COVID now because it is so infectious. Yeah. It's 60 to 80% of new cases now. So it's basically what COVID is now, is this Delta variant. But the thing is on the other hand, I also feel that if you're a conservative, or any version of anti-vaxxer who has access to the vaccine and elects not to get it and gets sick, fuck you. You got what you deserve. It's relatively easy to get the vaccine at this point. I was reading an article earlier about people from Missouri who are going into hospitals wearing disguises because they don't want their friends and family members to see them getting the vaccine. And fuck you too, Yeah. Science is a process by which we learn the truth. It's not dogmatic like religion. And we used to be a country that respects science. We used to be the country that lauded our own success in going to the moon or curing polio or developing insulin, making the internet. And there's all these conservative motherfuckers who love to use an iPhone, but hate STEM research, right? Who love not getting chicken pox, but are unwilling to get what's basically like we could cure the fucking common cold with the same technology that we developed to cure, or not cure, but vaccinate against COVID. And these motherfuckers won't take it because of their own political obstinance. And there's a part of me that just says, you know what, fuck them. Like, let them. Okay, fine. I'm not going to wear a mask. I hope I get a conservative sick. You know, like if I were to get a breakthrough case, I hope I spread it to some anti-masker. Right. And like, talk me down, I guess is what I'm saying.
So here's
fuck them.
Well, I agree with the fucking part if they don't want to fucking take precautions. But the one thing I did see come from the CDC was basically talking about how the Delta variant, the reason why they want you to wear masks now is if you are unvaccinated and not wearing a mask, you now have the potential to spread it to at least 8 people.
Right.
Where before it was like, 1.5 to 2 people was like the spread rate. Now the Delta variant is like way more contagious. So it's up to like 8. But even if you're vaccinated and you don't get sick at all, you still have the possibility of spreading it to 2 people.
Yeah.
Which is like, even if that person is vaccinated, they could be one of the breakthrough cases that you spread it to. You might never have any symptoms, never get sick, whatever, but there's still a possibility you could be carrying it and spread it without it actually mutating inside you and making you sick.
What are the chances that I would spread it to somebody who is not an anti-vax, anti-mask, reality-denying fuckwit?
Right. Well, living in a red state. That's kind of my.
Yeah. Well, I also go with the fact that people have been told, well, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. But now the people that are vaccinated, not wearing masks, also with the Delta variant, have a risk of spreading it as well. Where before with the normal variants, like, oh, if you got the vaccine, you're really not an issue anymore. And now with the Delta variant, like, well, now that issue is back.
Well, and here's the other fucking thing that gets me, man, is, do you know how the drinking age is 21?
Yep.
That's a state law, not a federal law. But the thing is that the federal government ties Department of Transport
highway funding
to drinking age being 21 at the state level. And this is perfectly legal. Supreme Court has long established that the government can use a carrot stick funding scheme in order to put state level, like federalized, essentially legislation in place. Why in the fuck is the Biden administration not tying education funding to requiring students to be vaccinated yet?
That's a great idea.
Funding. Yeah. To something like that. Like, what in the fuck?
I mean, you already have to, in order to go to school, you have to have all your hepatitis A and hepatitis B shots. You are already required by law to have so many vaccinations in order to attend school.
Yeah.
Why can't this be added to it?
Chickenpox vaccines. Like, the fuck, man. Yeah.
I think
ridiculous.
I think they're making some small steps in that direction. Well, they've made one giant step in that direction with their coming mandate for all federal employees to either be vaccinated or go through routine testing and wearing their masks
testing like twice a week.
Yeah.
And both of you guys are listeners to the Daily, right? Because I think it was either Monday or Tuesday's episode. No, it was Tuesday's episode. That was like, the Biden administration absolutely did not want to make federal workers be vaccinated. And then within like 2 days, that episode was obsolete. So, hopefully they move in another direction.
Yeah.
The thing is, they might not have wanted to, but they're kind of forced to.
Yeah.
It's like we're having to go out of our way to protect idiots from idioting. Right? Ordinarily, it would be like a kind of a live and let live, face the consequences.
Right.
But when those consequences are life and death, I don't know, man. I have some pretty strong feelings on both sides of this.
And like the funny fucking thing is, man, like I grew up conservative, right? Like we've talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
And one of the things I remember hearing conservatives talking about growing up was like, hey, maybe we should just take the warning labels off of like the chemicals under your sink. You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine. If you're going to drink fucking Drano, like one less
you're
person
fucking
who's
stupid,
dumb enough to drink Drano, and like, maybe I go back to my conservative roots and say, okay, you guys keep saying this. Fuck it. Like, fuck you. Drink your Drano, I guess.
I mean, I'm almost to the point where I want to say, you don't get the vaccine, you don't want to wear a mask, you don't get hospital visits, or not even, you don't even get to go to the fucking hospital. Like, if you don't want to take the fucking necessary precautions to protect you against this, guess what?
Die at home.
Don't fucking go to the hospital either.
Or
don't fucking
minimum,
take up that space.
You can't be on a plane, right? Like you cannot fly.
Which that just goes back to DeSantis in Florida, basically trying to pass a law saying cruise ships can't fucking force people to be vaccinated.
Or the cruise ships just bypass fucking Florida. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I hope they do, because I think it's complete bullshit that DeSantis can tell a company that's not even from Florida, that's flagged out of different countries, to say, no, you can't do that.
You have to put your people in harm's way. You have to make a disastrous decision affecting the lives and livelihood of all of your passengers because I said so. Yeah, that I can't
bullshit.
I can't imagine that his view or stance on this or policy or law, if it gets signed into law, will be able to be maintained. Like it would I imagine lose in court if brought there.
Well, he's already banned schools from passing mask mandates. In Florida.
Which he can do, which is horrible. But with the cruise ships, they're not going to fucking Miami, then going to fucking Tallahassee or whatever. They're going to other fucking places. Yeah, they're going to other islands. So those islands can just as well say, fuck you, that cruise ship is not allowed to land here if you follow that law in Florida.
Yep. And at that point, the cruise company has to determine, okay, would we rather go to Florida or also Bermuda and also, wherever the fuck else cruise ships go?
They'll have to find another port.
To be fair, also fuck cruise ships. Like every cruise ship exhibits or exhausts like countries worth of fucking pollution. But
I don't like them.
I honestly had wished that COVID would have killed the cruise industry. And I'm sad it did not.
I don't know these things about the cruise. I've only been on one
so
cruise.
Fucking much, dude.
Yeah.
It's
they
like
dump their
fleets
shit in
of
the ocean.
semi-trucks worth of exhaust. Yeah. It's the worst. Fuck cruises. Yeah.
I was unaware.
Also fuck Ted Cruz.
Yeah, fuck him too. Just fuck him with the rod iron.
Yeah.
No, I got reasons to fuck him.
He's so attractive.
No. I don't know how to handle a cloaca, so.
Nice.
Hey, this is Mark Nebo, the founder of the Normalized Atheism Campaign, and you are listening to the Godless Rebelution.
What is more likely? That the laws of nature have been suspended in your favor and in a way that you approve, or that you've made a mistake. And in each case you must, and especially if you didn't see it yourself and you're hearing it from someone who says that they did.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the Twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
All right, welcome back. The last thing that we want to talk about is something that's been making circles in like atheist podcasts. The European Union has like a overriding kind of Supreme Court situation for all of the countries within the EU. And it has recently ruled that companies in the European Union can ban employees from wearing a headscarf under certain conditions. But they need to do so, but only if they need to do so to project an image of neutrality to their customers. This case was brought on by two Muslim women in Germany who were suspended from their jobs for wearing a headscarf. The case was brought to court in order to settle like freedom of religion issues. And they were told that they were not allowed to wear a headscarf, but weren't given a particular reason for it. The court had to decide whether headscarf bans at work represented a violation of freedom of religion or were allowed as part of the freedom to conduct a business that wished to project an image of neutrality to customers. The court's response was that such bans were possible if justified by an employer's need to present a neutral image. And here's a quote from the court judgment thingy. A prohibition on wearing any visible form of expression of political, philosophical, or religious beliefs in the workplace may be justified by the employer's need to present a neutral image towards customers or to prevent social disputes. The justification must correspond to a genuine need on part of the employer. The case, in the case of the care center employee, the court said the rule at issue appeared to have been applied in general and in an undifferentiated way, as the employer had also required an employee wearing a religious cross to remove that sign. So the concern is, and this was actually brought up by the Open Society Justice Initiative, which is part of the Open Society Foundation by George Soros, was concerned that it may continue to exclude Muslim women and other religious minorities from various jobs in Europe. But the court specifically admonished that employers. The Open Justice Foundation said that employers should tread lightly as they risk being found liable for discrimination if they can't demonstrate a genuine need for a religious dress ban. And that's honestly the important stuff from the article. I wanted to kind of talk about that with you guys and see how we felt. Ryan, you and I kind of had an initial disagreement on this in the pre-show.
Yeah.
Because like I am personally of the opinion, and I know that this is kind of like an aged one within the atheist community. But like, I don't think that religious beliefs should be treated as more important than any other philosophical belief. And so I don't think that a person has a right to wear a headscarf or a cross or a yarmulke or a fucking turban or anything else like that any more than an employee has a right to like dress goth or Lolita or something at work. Like if the work says, come here in this appearance, like you don't get to go beyond that. Whether that's a religious belief or a political belief or, fucking like, don't come to work wearing stoic, headwear, right? Like just no.
Yeah, I would say my initial reaction is the same. Like I don't feel that religious belief should be given special deference. That sets it apart and above every other type of belief, which to me, therein lies the path to madness. Like you can't provide special deference just for religious beliefs. That set it above everything and everybody else.
Yeah, like if somebody showed up to their fast food job wearing a pin that said "meat is murder," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like. Nah. So, what are the counter arguments to that?
Well, I mean, I'm on the side of all or none.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, if you are not allowed to wear a hijab or a headdress with an expression of your religion, you should not be allowed to wear a cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or any type of religious garb while working. Anything that expresses your religious affiliation should not be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you allow a person to wear a cross, but say you can't wear your headdress, I do not agree with that.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Unless it's a safety thing. Unless it's like you have to wear a safety helmet and your hijab is getting in the way of being able to wear proper safety gear.
Yeah, that was
like, well, that's a safety concern.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, if it's not applied evenly across the board, then there would have to be a good justification for it. And like you just pointed out, in cases of where it may be a safety issue.
Yeah. But that's all assuming a societal default of like people are allowed to wear their religious stuff and that prohibitions are like the special case and those prohibitions have to be applied equally. Whereas I think that the societal default is you leave your fucking religion at home. Like if I go into work and start shitting on everybody else's religious belief because I'm an atheist, I get in trouble. But like if I go into work and every time I fucking turn around, somebody's saying, God bless you when I fucking sneeze and, have a blessed day and shit like that. Like that's suddenly allowed.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, I work in a profession where we have a pretty strict dress code. We all got to wear the same thing. And you are not allowed. You can wear a crucifix as long as it's tucked under your shirt and no one can see it. But you can't wear it visibly. We're all in a uniform. So if the place you work at has a required uniform for you to wear and you want to be like, well, no, I need to be able to wear this. Well, no, this is our uniform policy.
Yeah. And like,
you're not allowed to stray from jobs.
I've had jobs that are civilian in nature where I am required to wear a button-up shirt, slacks, and leather shoes, right? Like I couldn't go into that job wearing like goth gear. I couldn't go into that job wearing bondage pants and a fucking band t-shirt and boots up to my knees, right? And what about like goth lifestyle is philosophically different than religious belief? Like both of them, like religious belief is founded in bullshit. It's not real. It's made up. It's just like any fandom. It's just that society has put greater weight on religious belief.
Yeah, it's been offered historically this special deference that I don't think it is warranted or it deserves.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can go the whole lawsuits with Pastafarian, where they were fighting it in court to be allowed to wear their colanders in public and for their driver's license photos and at work. And I can't remember which country. There, one country like said, okay, yeah, you can, but a couple countries said, no, we do not view this as a real religion. Like, well, how do you get to define what I religiously believe in?
And gosh, I don't know, man. Like, the other thing too is that there are a lot of, like, where I get split is situations where people may have like a lack of personal autonomy, you know, especially I'm thinking prisons and K through 12 schools, right?
Yeah.
Now you may have a kid who has like, who just doesn't like pork, right? Versus, you know, a Jewish or Muslim kid who won't eat pork, right? The Jewish or Muslim kid is going to be given a special alternate menu that allows them to not eat pork. But if you just don't like it, you're shit out of luck, right? And like at the end of the day, that accommodation is largely based in just cultural bullshit, right? But the accommodation is there. And there's part of me that's like, yeah, we should be crafting our societal structures in a way that allow more accommodations for individuals to like engage in personal preference. But the problem is that those personal preferences tend to come from like a philosophically bullshit standard. And then conversely, the other side of that coin is like vaccine exemptions, right? There are legal carve outs for vaccine exemptions, for not treating your kid for fucking medical issues, right? If you've got a firmly held religious belief, but like nothing else can grant such an exception, right? Or an exemption.
Yeah. I'm like, even before COVID hit, it was the measles outbreaks going on in large Hasidic, Jewish communities because they had their religion said we can't get vaccinated.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, you're the reason why we're having a large outbreak of the measles right now. This is way before COVID.
Yeah. There's a young woman currently involved in a lawsuit against her parents. She is going to die of a heart valve issue. And had her parents treated her when she was an infant, she would have lived a long, normal life. But because her parents believed that God would sort things out and to treat her would be an affront against God's will, they did not treat her. And so now she is suing her parents for like wrongful death, pain and suffering, all that, because she is going to die before she hits 30 as a result of this easily preventable health condition. Only religion is a justification, a legal justification for such negligence.
Well, if I remember the case correctly, which I'm probably misremembering it, which always happens, there was the couple that ended up going to jail that were Christian scientists that believe that they didn't have to get intervention medically. They had 2 kids die before the court said, no, this is neglect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous
because of their religion. And I think the third kid that passed away, he was almost 18. He was like 16 or 17 years old and had his appendix rupture, and they just prayed over him. They didn't get medical attention or anything for him. That's when they finally said, no, you can't fucking keep doing this.
Yeah.
Like you have to seek medical intervention for your kids, even if your religion says no.
Well, and we kind of have this schizophrenic view of a lot of these, you know, religious beliefs, right? Because we've set up, or we've established rules, and there have been court findings that say that, you know, if you believe that God told you to murder your children and so you did that, that's not a valid excuse. You're still going to be charged with murder.
Going to jail. You're not allowed to drown him in the bathtub.
Yeah, like there are limits to the deference that we offer religion. I think we've just drawn those boundaries outside of what they are for everything else. Like you can't justify your killing of another person because you think God told you to do it. We understand that that's a terrible fucking excuse, and it's never, ever been accepted. Well,
crusade.
In 99.9% of the circumstances, that hasn't been an acceptable excuse or justification for doing something.
Yeah. Well, and the last thing I want to bring up, that Sandra would kick my ass if I did not, is like specifically the women's rights issue with regards to like the hijab and Islam in Europe, is that there's another quandary where on the one hand, a woman might be liberated by not having to wear a hijab, right? By finding that like the world doesn't end when she stops covering her head for a bullshit religious reason, that oppresses her, that stops her from expressing herself. But conversely, the issue has been brought up is that for sufficiently devout Muslim women, that their opportunities for employment will decrease because they can't find a job where they can wear their hijab. So it will make them more likely to be stuck at home and like kept from getting more autonomy by way of having an income. Mm-hmm. But personally, I feel like that argument just kicks the can down the road by a step. Yeah. And like really what we should be doing as a society is like making sure that there are not homes where women are kept prisoners by religious belief and the patriarchies of those religious belief that keep them prisoner.
I also feel like, even though I hate some of those old sayings or old adages where it's like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
You can tell her as many times you want, like, hey, you're being oppressed because they're forcing you to live by this certain standard, which oppresses females in your religion.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean they're going to stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's frustrating to me, as a leftist atheist, because it has become harder and harder to criticize elements of Islam because the extreme far right has chosen Islam as its new, like,
attack point.
Yeah. And so any criticism of Islam becomes associated with the right wing criticism of Islam and all the attendant baggage, which has stifled discourse.
But I think when people on the left, when we criticize Islam, it's for a completely different reason than people on the right criticize Islam. People on the right will be like, oh, they're bringing in Sharia law. You can't do that. It's like, but you motherfuckers are trying to bring in a Christian version of Sharia law. So fuck you too. And they'll also use the argument saying people on the left never say anything against Islamic religions. It's like, the fuck we don't. We don't say the same thing you say. We look at it as the way they're oppressing women, just like you do on the fucking right.
It's kind of the way, I want to say it was Stephen Fry, but I could be wrong. It might have been Hitchens, who said, you, talking to a Christian, are an atheist with regards to thousands of religions, but one. And I merely go one religion further than you. And I feel to the conservative, you think that it is inappropriate for one religion to create an alternate legal system to dominate people and like oppose secular civic society. I just think that no religion should be able to do that, including yours, conservative.
Yeah, I think that came from when Hitchens and Fry were doing their like rounds of debates.
Yeah.
They did a whole bunch of debates, which I love. I think I like Stephen Fry more than Hitchens a lot of times. I love the way Stephen Fry just
when they were debating those
delivers the arguments.
Yeah, they were on fire. It was fantastic. Yeah. It is kind of wild to go back and listen to like early aughts Christopher Hitchens though, because he was very wrong on the subject of the Iraq War. So it's actually kind of embarrassing to listen to him in that context now. So
yeah, I'd have to revisit some of the things on that. I read a couple pieces that, point out that a lot of the things that were said about what he was saying were wrong.
I listened to the debate that he had with his brother, that reunion debate that they had. And he was a full-throated supporter of the Iraq War.
Invasion. And
Yeah, he absolutely was. But I think I've read I'll have to see if I can
his
find
reasoning
it again.
Behind it.
It's been several years since I initially read it, so maybe my views on it will have changed. But at the time I read it, it was like, okay, like I don't agree with necessarily his overall assessment for it, but he did provide some good reasons about invading Iraq. It wasn't that he bought into the Bush line and the right wing talking points about why we should do it. He listed some other very good reasons why, despite the reasoning that we were provided at the time, it was still a good idea because of these things. And
like,
it's been a
which
while.
I would probably agree with. I agree with that Saddam Hussein needed to be taken out, but I disagree with the pretense that we used to actually go to war with Iraq.
Well, and I disagree with the after effects of us deposing him as well. Like, like if we were going to go in and topple a leader, we also should have been there to like catch the country as it fell and put it back up on its feet.
You break it, you buy it kind of thing. Yeah.
From our American military history, we didn't change anything.
Well, the thing is like the problem I have is that America has two modes, right? We've got Banana Republic and we've got World War II, right? Yeah. We did a damn good job of turning Japan and Germany into two of the best democracies on the planet. Yeah. Right now. We fucked South America and Africa
and Eastern Europe. We fucked a lot of places up.
Yeah. So
we fucked America up.
I mean, yes. Yeah. And there's a fantastic quote. Something that I thought about daily under Trump is fascism is colonialism turned inward.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's not mine. I can't remember the researcher who said that, but yeah. Fascism is colonialism turned inward.
Yeah.
Expanded on that. When you run out of places to colonize, you have to colonize somebody at home.
Oh, I think that was a perfect saying, but we have run out of time for this episode.
Shit.
Unfortunately. It's been nice chatting with you fellas.
Yeah.
It always is. Hopefully we made your day better, but sometimes we say shit that probably just goes, fuck this world.
Yeah. Sometimes I get angry. Sometimes I get satisfied by the end of these more free form episodes we do.
Yeah. Yep. Before we go though, I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon supporters because they keep the show going. They keep, they help support it. And we
love you.
Totally fucking this up.
We love all of you. Don't worry, Dan. I'm here to save you.
Thanks.
I'm here to save you, Dan.
Appreciate you, man. I was unprepared for the thing I should have been prepared for.
You had one job, Dan. One job.
And I fucking failed. I'm so sorry. Jesus.
You should be.
But I want to make sure we thank our Patreon supporters, and that would be two skeptical chaps.
Alan Firth.
Don't be a Richard.
Hunter Grin.
John McCullough.
Ollie Olson.
Sinead Duffy.
Steve Kuno.
Stephen Andrus.
Tiffany Hudson.
Vanessa.
All hail Peneth Buttra.
The guy that asks questions before he finishes the show.
Andrew Vodopich.
Corey Ebert.
Jeff Peterson.
Jeremy Goodson.
Megan Mitchell.
Utah Outcasts.
Wesley Aaron.
Freethinker 215.
Matthew Sanders.
Chad Pryor.
I'm a bastard.
Yes, you are. But we did it almost in unison. It was almost like a singing song type thing. But Chad Pryor.
Janet Uter.
Purple Dragon.
Savita Kuna.
Tim Jacobson.
Trisha Weir.
A noble spirit embiggens the smallest man. A perfectly cromulent statement.
I like that you did that to yourself.
I was trying to think when we started. I'm like, wait, where do I need to go?
Ted Sellen, thank you again. I owe you big.
Sarah Segovia.
And James.
Thank you all very, very much. If you, dear listener, would like to become a Patreon patron, you can do so very easily by going to patreon.com/GodlessRebelution, where you can contribute as little as $1 per episode for all kinds of fun extra goodies. I'm not going to go into detail because I do that too often. No, maybe I should. I don't know. I'm not going to. And I'm going to have to fucking edit this now because I'm a stupid ass.
Leave it in.
Thank you all very, very much for your continued patronage. We really appreciate it. If you are averse to using Patreon, you can give us money through a wide variety of other means, most notably PayPal. You can send us money through PayPal at our email address of godlessrebelution@gmail.com. That is also where you can send us show ideas, complaints, corrections. A lot of people don't like to be corrected. I love it because I don't want to continue being wrong. So please, if we have misstated things in this episode or others, let us know so that we can, hopefully not be as wrong in the future.
Yeah. And people have sent us stuff that might spur on future projects.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to the person who emailed us in, I wanted to say called in there for some reason, for the person who emailed us in and commented on our Christian nationalist segment and said that they would like to see something like a unified episode where it's all the content together without like the intro or outro or something like that. We have heard your email, and we are trying to figure out the best way to go about doing something like that isn't just onerous for fucking Dan. So you have not been forgotten. Trust me.
Yes.
You have definitely spurred on a conversation between the three of us.
Mm-hmm. For sure. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of our listener feedback, even if you're writing to complain about something, because if we've done something to piss somebody off, I would like to know. And if it's something that we can fix going forward, I would like to know that. If it's something that you got pissed off about and you're wrong about, I would like to know that too. But
yeah, if there's something that's causing you a problem for 2 months, don't say nothing about it until it finally reaches a critical mass, I guess is what we're saying.
Yeah, that's yes. Communication is key. These are very good things. All right. Well, thank you both very much. We'll chat at you guys next week. Dano out.
Sexy Stash says goodbye.
Don't eat things off the ground.
Ooh, valid advice.
See that file folder thing? That's like kind of where my hand is now in the background. So that was sitting on top of my desk. And when I turned my mic stand, it hit that, which knocked my phone off my desk, which landed in the water bowl for the cat. The water bowl so hard, it flipped upside down, dumping the entire bowl onto my phone.
Oh, man.
I've always said 5-second rule.
Mythbusters basically said it's 0 seconds.
Yeah, it is a 0 second rule. But you know what? It's not going to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Drink out of a hose.
Yeah.
Fucking kids.